Time News. Good afternoon, I'm Daniel Monroy. Today will be humid with considerable cloudiness and a high of 24. Right now it's 21 degrees. As Texas reels from deadly flooding this week, questions are rising north of the border about how prepared Canada's cities are for the next big storm. XFM reporter Theodore Ramarak has more.
With nearly 82 people dead from the Texas flooding incident, it begs the question, how ready is Canada for similar circumstances?
Most Canadian cities, not all, but most, flood risk maps tend to be about 20 to 25 years out of date. In other words, when large precipitation events occur, what we don't have is a good delineation on where water is going to go, particularly in urban or suburban areas.
He goes on to say in Ontario, part of the problem is the conservation authorities.
We had the formulation of what are called the conservation authorities in Ontario, of which there are 36. And conservation authorities have the say or the discretion over where we can and cannot build relative to floodplains.
Theodore Ramarak, XFM News.
OPP are looking for a repeat offender known to visit London, Sarnia, and Toronto. Joshua Gray is 44 years and is wanted on Canada-wide warrant for breach of his statutory release. He is described as being 5'10" tall, with brown hair and green eyes and several tattoos. He's currently serving a 6-year and 9-month sentence, and his offenses are armed robbery, possession of substances for purpose of trafficking, and disguise with intent. Anyone with any contact or information is asked to contact Crime Stoppers or call 911. U.S. President Donald Trump says he'll be sending letters to countries around the world today as he seeks trade deals. But Canada isn't being affected by Wednesday's tariff deadline. Kelly Malone has more.
U.S. President Donald Trump says he's sending correspondents to up to 15 countries hit by his Liberation Day duties, telling them he'll impose a tariff rate if there's no trade deal. Members of Trump's administration have said those tariffs would go into effect in August. Trump took his trade war to the world in April, but walked back the most devastating duties a few hours later, setting that 90-day deadline. Since then, only 2 trade arrangements have materialized. Canada wasn't included in those global tariffs and is committed to coming up with some sort of bilateral deal with the U.S. by July 21st. Kelly Malone, The Canadian Press, Washington.
Mondelez Canada says no longer producing Jersey milk chocolate bars. Michelle Sadikan from The Canadian Press has more.
The company's decision to cut the product came after a portfolio review showed consumers have shifted to buying other pure milk chocolate bars like Cadbury Dairy Milk. Jersey Milk was only produced in Canada, and the company says the end of its production will not result in any job cuts. A series of acquisitions left the chocolate bar under the purview of Mondelez International, which has a downtown Toronto Cadbury chocolate factory employing nearly 400 workers. Michelle Zadikian, The Canadian Press, Toronto.
In sports, in the MLB, the Toronto Blue Jays will play against the Chicago White Sox today at 7:40 p.m. and both teams will also play tomorrow at the same time. The Detroit Tigers will also play today versus the Tampa Bay Rays at 6:40 p.m. and both teams will also face tomorrow at the exact same time. In the CFL, the Edmonton Elks won their first game of the season with a 39-33 over the visiting Ottawa Redblacks. And the Hamilton Cardinals harmed the London Mayors 15-2 on Sunday in the Inter-County League Baseball action. In the Club World Cup, Fluminense is facing Chelsea for the semifinals of the tournament at 3 p.m. XFM traffic. Emergency services are on scene of a serious collision in the area of Fanshawe Park Road and Clark Road. The intersection is closed in all directions. Wellington Street is fully closed between King Street and Horton Street, including the underpass for construction. If you have a traffic or news tip, call 519-455-NEWS. That's 455-6397. Your Environment Canada forecast. Today will be humid with considerable cloudiness. Tomorrow we'll have a mix of sun and clouds and a high of 27. And on Wednesday will be mostly cloudy and rainy. Right now it's 21 degrees. Find more news online anytime at 1069dx.com.